Good evening. Welcome to Left, Right and Centre. I'm Vishnu Shom. On the programme this evening, a chilling window into pure evil. A self-recorded video of Dr. Umar Mohammed, the radicalized physician who detonated a Hyundai i20 outside Delhi's Red Fort, killing 13 innocent people. Staring ice-cold into the camera, the doctor speaking in English declares suicide bombing is one of the very misunderstood concepts. It's a martyrdom operation known in Islam. In fact, we'll bring you that video in just a few moments. With unnerving calm, he seems to dismiss fears of death, justifying mass murder as divine glory. Now, this calculated manifesto confirms the blast was his premeditated shahadat, some would suggest, not an accident, a healer turned killer. Now, we'll be looking at this, but there are also other and really frightening fresh revelations. Investigators say that the same educated terror cell plot even planned deadlier Hamas-style drone swarms, modifying commercial drones with heavy bombs, cameras and rockets to rain terror over crowded areas. So we've got two parts of the program. The first part, we'll be looking at the statement of this killer, and a little while later, we'll be looking at the danger of drones in the hands of terrorists. Satish Dua joins us, SP Vaid, the former Director General of Police, and also joined by Group Captain Dr. Rajiv Kumar Narang. In fact, General Dua and Mr. Vaid have dealt with, terrorism in so many ways. But I found this, Mr. Vaid, let me come to you first, particularly chilling because it's a younger generation of Indians heavily indoctrinated, that's stating the obvious. But he's willing to talk about, death and shahadat and suicide, knowing fully well that that video would go out. If he's caught, he'd be arrested, this, that and the other. But it appears that he was reconciled to that faith. Could you tell us about, what sort of threat this represents?
Good evening, Som. Good evening to my co-panelists and to your viewers. See, if you recall, this is not first time a suicide bomber is issuing the video prior to committing martyrdom. We had seen this in Pulwama's attack, if you recall. Adil, who was the suicide bomber, also did the same thing. And in other instances also, we have seen this happening. But it is very, very chilling and a huge challenge to the security establishment of the country that a highly educated doctor could be radicalized or indoctrinated to the extent that he is ready to kill his countrymen. He blow off himself. Look at his face. Absolutely cold face, looking like he knew what is going to happen, and no fear of death. A very chilling account. And I think this kind of radicalization, I know this is being done, and I'm sure General Saab would bear me out. This is all being done online by handlers from across, that they are basically targeting our.
Sure.
They initially select the right person for the job, and then they radicalize him to the extent that he can go ahead with this kind of suicide bombing, and it's very, very challenging job for the security establishment of India.
General Dua, your thoughts on this? How this represents one of our gravest threats in recent times?
Vishnu, we are seeing a very perceptible shift in the way terrorism is prosecuted the country. We are, it's a shift from rural to urban. It's a shift from a certain strata of society to the more educated class, as we started calling them hybrid terrorists 5 years ago, and now there are the white-collar terrorists, doctors, and very educated people. But let's also remember that terrorism across the world has attracted such educated people. Osama bin Laden was an engineer by education. His number two, Zuhairi, was a surgeon by profession. So, having said that, coming back to our challenges, we are seeing this shift, and we have to learn to grapple with this shift. But before that, as we just saw the video, he is very nonchalantly, slightly swiveling in his chair as if he's not bothered. He is not a man under any kind of duress. So, to my mind, this video, apart from making a statement, is also trying to recruit more youth or influence more youth into their fold as well. So the challenge exists for security forces and intelligence agencies, and a very oversimplified kind of a response from my side would be: on one hand, we will have to, the intelligence agencies will have to step up their operations, and they're doing a great job this time. They've unraveled networks spanning 2 or 3 states, and it's being unraveled even more. More layers are coming out. So intelligence agencies will have to sort of continue to preempt this sort of urban terrorism amongst literate people. And on the other hand, it will be a technological challenge to come up with ways to carry out sort of how do we get technical intelligence, how we try and preempt them and nullify their effects.
Yeah. We'll talk about technology because we are talking about the danger of drones also in a few moments. But before that, Mr. Ved, what I found particularly worrying, I mean, all of it is the doctor who was arrested in Gujarat was working with to make ricin gas. That's just another game which we've not seen. The dissemination of gas in India, poison gas, it would be devastating in closed areas. We're full of closed areas. You've got highly skilled doctors who are obviously by training also aware of how chemicals work and are obviously skilled enough in getting their logistics chains right. Then it's not just bombs like ammonium nitrate based devices, but it's also poison, which is a big concern. Mr. Ved?
Absolutely. See, the module of Gujarat was another such module where mass killing was planned and using ricin. And the doctor was trained in China. He did his degree from China. Now, the problem with these highly qualified doctors is they can be very, very dangerous if they get radicalized. It is, as Janasa was mentioning, we had seen this in case of Al-Jawahiri, Osama bin Laden. Even the 9/11 attack in USA was done by all educated and technocrats. But this particular case of Umar, though J&K police and others, state police forces and central agencies did a commendable job, very professional work from a just small incident of poster of Jaish-e-Mohammed being pasted. This whole module was unearthed, which could have easily been ignored by a non-serious police officer. And I think great work has been done by Srinagar police. But our challenge is we do not know how many such modules exist in this country. And it is going to be a huge problem for intelligence and security agencies, because today this radicalization is a huge issue not only in Europe and America, in our neighborhood, and particularly India. It is an issue of concern. You are in the neighborhood of Pakistan and Bangladesh, where radicalization is a big problem, and many countries have taken steps, and I think we need to have a cue from them. You talk of UAE, Saudi Arabia, Indonesia, Singapore. They have done commendable job, and the community leaders have collaborated with the governments to create a narrative against such suicidal attacks. I think in India also we need to do a lot of work, rope in community leaders, and government must work with them to counter this kind of narrative.
Sure.
And social media and internet must be extensively used for this.
I just wanted to move on to the next part of my program because, in their interrogation and the information that we are getting, that this module also intended to use drones to strike populated areas. This is a huge threat for us. Here's why. Well, fresh details now indicate that the module which was responsible for the bomb blast outside Red Fort was in fact planning to work with drones in order to target a lot of innocent people. Now, this represents a new dangerous threat. Drones haven't been used per se in terrorist attacks in India. Now, these have been used elsewhere to great effect, which is why this is a matter of grave concern. Terrorist groups such as ISIS, for example, pioneered the weaponization of commercial drones by modifying them, and I'll explain this, to drop small explosives. So what you see over here is a small quadcopter. These drones don't need to be very large or big at all, but once they are fitted with small explosives like this 3-kilo bomb that you see slung underneath, brought over an area and then just dropped. We've seen this in the case of the Ukraine war in a different context. It is absolutely lethal to man and machine, as it were. So these have been used in military conflicts with gradual increase of their firepower. Now, Iranian-backed militias, including the Katalib Hezbollah, have conducted deadly drone attacks in January 2024 in an American base in Jordan known as Tower 22. That was the first time American soldiers were killed by an enemy non-state actor's drone strikes. Yemen, their Houthis use larger drones by and large. As you can see over here, this is an example of that. These have emerged as prolific drone users. Has Yemen, they've launched hundreds of attacks since 2018. They've targeted Saudi Arabia, Israel, and Red Sea shipping. Their drones are based on Iranian models. Hezbollah, further north, has operated drone programs since the early 2000s, initially for reconnaissance over Israel, but they've increasingly deployed them with armed and explosive variants, the ones that you can actually see over here. So different in a sense from what we were talking about, more powerful, more explosive potentially, certainly much faster. They were using these on targets in Israel, but Hezbollah as a military force is no longer what it was. Hamas employed commercial drones on the 7th of October 2023 to disable Israeli border surveillance towers. What you actually see over here is similar to what they deployed. This isn't the drone, but this is the bomblet which has been dropped from the drone. And once it makes contact with the target, there's a great deal of loss of life, and vehicles can be taken out as well. So non-state actors, and here's the bottom line, increasingly exploit affordable, accessible drone technology. Something like this may not cost more than a few $100s. And again, let me explain this to you. This is a warhead, right? It's an artillery shell. It's been rigged to a quadcopter with a heavy-duty battery. It doesn't necessarily need to fly very far. Once it gets to a particular place, it's released right on top of the target because the operator of this is actually watching on a real-time basis where the drone is actually flown, and then it can cause a huge amount of danger. Now, imagine this sort of threat in urban areas of India. It takes our battle against terrorism to another level. Let's just focus now on the next part of this threat, and I'm joined by Group Captain Rajiv Kumar Narang, who's been waiting patiently. Group Captain, what we're learning is, one of these people in this module were working with quadcopters. They're working with rockets to be fitted onto this drone. How does that represent a threat which, let's face it, we're not equipped to challenge at a national level?
Vishnu, if you understand, you have been seeing the terror activities in the last few years. What we saw was terrorists were using even cars and various vehicles. The intent of such activities is also to dissuade the technological progress being made and use of technology like drone for the civil applications. If we have to really deter or prevent such activities, we have to really ensure that the weapon or the ammunition which they have, it does not reach its target. And we should not draw a conclusion that drones have to be curbed, because India is making rapid progress in drone technologies, and we have adopted in civil applications and even in military application. It has given us much more capabilities. So what is needed is there are 5-6 players in this technology who have to be strengthened. One is Ministry of Civil Aviation, State Police, Central Armed Police Forces, Defense Forces, and even Customs. To give you an example, civil aviation plays a major role, and real-time tracking can let you know whether the drone is rogue or friendly.
No, sir, I'm talking about much smaller drones. If you see what has been deployed, for example, in Ukraine, in a different context, but it's a quadcopter which costs a few $100s. It's much cheaper than an automatic rifle wherever you have to procure one from, right? Jury-rigged with a small grenade, right, is something which can result in a copious loss of lives. General Dua, would you like to comment on that?
Yes, Vishnu, this is really a growing area of concern for us, because the smaller drones that you mentioned and that were likely to be used in this ecosystem that has been unearthed, these drones cannot really be tracked.
Exactly.
And if they are going to, they're going to have a small amount of explosive, like you said, one grenade. But one grenade, if dropped at let's say a crowded place, can create havoc. So to that extent, like I started mentioning earlier, I think we will have to we'll have to have our intelligence agencies being built up in such a manner that we try to nip this thing in the bud. Like earlier days in counterterrorism, with Mr. Vaid and I have been operating in Jammu and Kashmir. We used to talk about the beat cop. The beat cop is required there, that we who can actually find out the intelligence on ground. Now we need intelligence in a different kind of a manner, because we need to have intelligence in the streets. Instead of streets and mohallas, we need to get into the campuses. We have to think differently, because today such campuses, when you see a protest happening, when you see some voices coming out of campuses, because we're looking at white collar terrorism, so intelligence agencies will have to reinvent their tactics. And I think as far as technology is concerned, we'll have to leave it to the innovators to meet these challenges, because they should be able to find some way of negating.
No, but General Dua, the thing is that let's talk a little bit about the technology, and Group Captain come in on this as well. During Op Sindoor, we saw the massive proliferation of Pakistani drones. On one night, 900 of them on Indian airspace from the Siachen Glacier right to the north of Gujarat. In many cases, we were able to successfully jam them. The reason we were able to actually do this is because by and large they were headed towards our military bases where you could position jammers. The concern over here is that while given present technology, jamming actually works really well, you cannot have jammers deployed everywhere. You cannot manufacture so many jammers. You don't know where the threat is coming from. In a situation like this, is there a technological way out in dealing with small drones? Group Captain Narak.
Vishnu, technology is evolving. You must in the recent past, if you even look at the Ukraine-Russia war, Russians had evolved with the technology. The challenge came from FPV, first-person view drones. Yeah. If you leave those FPV drones aside, Russians have been reasonably successful in minimizing the impact of small drones. The small drones, the problem of small, slow, and low-flying drones is the existing air defense systems are not optimized for such threats. So newer detection systems, newer tracking systems, and newer neutralization systems are being developed worldwide. In the civil world, what they are trying to integrate the friendly drones with the AD network.
Yes.
By having their real-time tracking systems. So I think civil aviation plays a major role when they track the friendly drones, which differentiates from the rogue drones. And secondly, you have to really come up with the upgradation of ground-based technologies, counter-drone technologies, and integration of counter-drone systems on something like light combat helicopters. And in fact, Israel had used a combat helicopter to neutralize an Iranian drone in the recent war. So
I understand that. And, that is when drones are deployed en masse and you can actually track them coming in. But in the context of a drone in the hand of rogue terrorists who suddenly decide to deploy them from the chat of their house, this becomes a completely different threat. We leave it over there. Thank you all very much for being with us, General Dua, Mr. Vaid and Group Captain Narang. It's a real concern now that we are facing. The nature of radicalization was there on your screens, and with the evolution of technology, we are facing perhaps a new nature of the threat. We leave it there. Thanks very much for being with us. Goodbye.